that we do here at the Radio Misfits podcast platform. This one we call Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk. It comes on every Monday through Thursday right here. Where you're finding us, whether you're finding us on the Facebook page or Twitter or YouTube, wherever it is that you're watching. All right, let's get the chat room going. All right, we see people starting to fill in. Let's say, come on, let's go. Who's first in? Who's going to say hi first? Write that down in my little dream journal. Wasn't that nice? Leslie said hi first. I don't know. Could be anybody. Could be Byron. Could be John. It's Jeff. Of course it is. Jeff says hi first. Hi, Jeff. All right, I don't know where Parker is. Like I say, this is the second stream. This is the Pugs and Parker stream. We do this 9 o'clock Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. High Noon, that's the show that I do alone every day, noon. And all we do there is we just talk about headlines and current events and topics. We just talk about the world. We just talk about the world. We try to stay away from divisive politics. We try to stay away from anything that, is just so boring and that we can just find so many other places. So, weird stuff, pop culture, current events, very little politics, very little world stuff, celebrities, stuff that is just, people are talking about. If it's trending, if it's a headline, if it's a hot topic, or if it's something that people are just buzzing about in your world, we'll try and cover it every day, Monday through Friday at noon on the High Noon Show. Thank you to the folks who joined me today on the High Noon Show. It was a little bit different for you. I understand, it's a take you out of your schedule. If some of you folks who are so damn faithful, every day, Jeff, all of you, my God, you're all regulars. I love it. I appreciate it, but I really did appreciate today that, it was a 2-hour difference and you were all still there for the most part. And some new people too. That was fun to have. Let's bring in James Parker. There he is, James Parker.
Hi.
I'm exhausted, man. I am tired.
How are you exhausted? What's going on with you?
I had a crazy long day, man. Oh, how am I exhausted? James, I'm wondering if you were towing jet skis at 8 a.m. in a driving rainstorm on Lake Louisville. Was that you, James? James, was that you?
No, I wasn't driving jet skis.
Because it was me. And yeah, I wasn't driving them. I was watching Emil drive them. But I was there. I was out there in the rain at the lake. I had to get in the water. I had to load them. It was a long day. We had to do, James, it's a Labor Day weekend. And we are lake people. Some might call us lake trash. I embrace that. But we're lake people. So we got to get everything in order for the big Labor Day week. Hey, how many kids you got? I'd like to invite you and your kids, but we don't have enough life jackets. No kidding. No kidding. Your kid. All right. So anyway, we're getting everything ready for, the big end of summer, and the jet skis were working a little bit funky. So trying to get them tuned up. How was your day? So I've been up a long time is what I'm saying. I'm tired.
Man, my day's all right. I got 4 kids. We're going to have like 6 people in town from New Orleans this weekend. So I am booked to the gills.
So you don't want to come out and be lake trash with us. That's fine.
Oh, I do. I'd rather do that than hang out with 6 of my in-laws from New Orleans.
And then get away. Just you.
Right? That's
you. This is work. Gonna be radio people out there. This is work. It's
work.
You need to network, man.
Well, I play that card hard a lot. It's work, baby.
Every married radio guy does. And you know what? I have to imagine that every married radio girl does as well. That's,
Oh, dude. Plumbers do it. Oh, I gotta go on a job. They sprung a leak. I gotta go. It's work. I gotta go. There's like I don't know, like a flux convention in town or something. Gotta go. It's work.
See, that's the thing though. They have to stay work specific. They have to stay in an area. Every excuse the plumber has to have something to do with plumbing that he's needed. No, not you and me, not radio talk show hosts. Do you know how I'm married twice, James. Don't know if you've heard these stories. They didn't work out well, but I convinced 2 lovely ladies to marry me. I used to use all the time, would you do this? And I'm just sitting on the couch watching TV and I'd go, I gotta watch this for the show. I'm working.
I have to watch this game. I have to be able to talk about this game tomorrow.
Yeah. What do you mean you're working? You're sitting there watching TV eating chicken wings. Hey man, don't hate. Don't hate. Don't hate, because that's the gig that I ended up with. I am working. I know you. Hey, we're going to talk about Breaking Bad tomorrow. Sorry, gotta watch
Mhm.
Breaking Bad. Gotta watch it.
What
Can't
am I
miss.
supposed to do? Get fired? No, I have to watch Breaking Bad. Yes.
Look,
I
you know
love
what?
that. I
You can
love that.
go.
It works so good on Cowboys games too.
Oh, it works for everything. It works for everything because there is absolutely nothing, especially in the genre of radio that you and I used to do, that she could argue. Absolutely anything that is happening in the world that has our attention is work for us
Like, if we
because
wanted
we
to pick up new habits, like, I've gotta watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It's, like, literally the most streamed show every week,
right.
right?
That's shit we should be doing. That's stuff that
Right.
our bosses at work
We
would
could
be
be wasting even more
thrilled.
time. We could be playing the work card even more.
Mhm.
We're actually very judicious and efficient with it. We
Ugh,
could we could really be throwing that thing around.
both my wives hated that.
Hey, can I start off, I don't wanna sound like a nice guy here, just
Oh,
remember
okay.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm
no,
the
let's
ass of
hear
the
that.
show. But right, just wanna remind y'all I'm an ass. But big shout out goes to all these adults who give up their time and their patience and their nerves to be little league coaches and refs and the people that, like, mark the fields off, and all you people, you're just freaking angels, man. Like, I could first off, I'm a psycho, I could never do that. I'd end
Well,
up
well, hold
screaming
on,
at the
James.
kids.
Hold on, James. The ones that aren't pedophiles. The ones that's a job profession that you're either a pedophile or a hero or a community hero. That's those are
Yeah, that those lines, because if you're a pedophile, that's where you'd go, the
right.
Jimmy Savile trick. Yeah, I'm just here to help children.
Yeah.
No, but I'm sure 99.9% of them are doing it for altruistic causes, just totally because they're decent human beings. And it'd be nice if there were more people like you, because you're better than me. And if the world was full of people like me, there wouldn't be little leagues, because no one would volunteer for them because they'd be all bums like me. So you're better than me, but I do appreciate it, and I do feel appropriately guilty for not volunteering more of my own time.
Volunteer. See, I used to ump little league. 2 summers. Good. I don't know how I got into it. OYA, Orland Youth. $10 a game. That's why I did it. $10 a game.
So, I mean, you probably could have got more money in that if you were waiting tables at the, Cantina Laredo or something. I mean, there's some goodness in the heart of anyone who takes those jobs. They don't do it for the money.
Oh, parents are terrible. Parents are a-hole. I never. I mean, I was basically just like going out there with, I think it was real little leaguers, like kids in the second and third grade and stuff. So it wasn't crazy, but I know my friend Tom. He was an ump well in through high school, like much longer than I was. I think I was in junior high, and he used to have to deal with, parents. So what is it? How could you ever imagine yourself behaving in the way that you've seen some parents behave at these games?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Sorry for dancing on both sides of the fence here,
Yeah.
but
Pussy.
number one, me personally, hell no. Oh my god, I could never yell at a ref. I grew up playing sports, and that was the most embarrassing thing
Not a
ever.
ref. Not a ref, not Major League Baseball. What that's fine. You have the right to do. I'm talking about little league kids where it's like a kids game and you're losing your shit because
At the
maybe
at the ref, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
not
Those people.
pro level. Pro level
No, no,
you can
no, no,
yell
no.
at.
I'm not talking
That's
about pro level. Dude, you lose your mind at the little league ref. That's embarrassing. I remember
different.
when I was growing up playing, if someone yelled at the ref, whose dad is that? That's embarrassing. You're acting like an animal. But however,
You're an
I
emotional dwarf. That's the action of an emotional dwarf. Someone who can't contain their anger and rage at their kid's T-ball game.
well, it was also weird because I'm chilling over there in like left field or right field. Who am I kidding? And I'm thinking about some hot chick or some test I've got tomorrow or what's coming on. The who's the boss or whatever later. And their dad cares more about the game than I do. And it's like, dude, you're not even playing. Like, what are you getting so upset about? So yeah, it's probably a strike. You're right.
It's it's
Whatever.
it's it's this whole thing where there are these parents that I don't know if they're failed athletes in their own right. You always get the Todd Marinovich type dad, the guy who couldn't make it on his own, so he decided he was going to create a little human in a lab, and he was going to build them their entire life to be what he could not do. So a
Well,
lot
some
of
of them
these
are
dads are
just
vicariously just living through their kids, and the rage is just, them projecting it onto their kid.
well. Look, for now that I'm a parent, I've started to categorize these people because you can identify them easier from the stands than you can from the field when you're a kid. And so in the stands, there's some of that. There's also some guys that are just straight up a-holes all through their entire life. So why would it change at their kid's soccer game? They yell at waiters, they yell at their coworkers, they yell. There's the ones that have hissy fits when they get pulled over by the cops or whatever, get themselves tased. Those idiots.
Yeah, right.
There's some of them where you could tell it's not necessarily genetic, but it was passed down from their dad. Like their dad probably yelled at them, and
Yeah.
that's what they saw growing up. And so that's what they're emulating now, even though no one else is doing it, psycho. So why don't you stop? But no, on the other side of the fence, though, I can understand how some people are like that, because when I'm at my kids' games or even when I'm watching them in practice, and the voice inside my head is just screaming in rage. The outside looks like this, because I can control it. I would never yell at my kids. I would never yell at the ref. I would never yell at a coach. I can't believe people yell at the coach. So this is what's on the outside. On the inside is Jesus Christ. I'm gonna strangle him if I get a hold of him. Why didn't he run? And why didn't he listen to me? Why didn't he's offsides? He's just
So your internal monologue is basically a drill sergeant. You're like, I see. I don't.
Yes, I'm Arlie Ermy in Full Metal Jacket. Or like
care.
when Forrest Gump gets on the bus to go to the army, he's like, my name's Forrest Gump. And they're like, no one gives a shit who you are, postball.
That's outwardly you're not that at all. Outwardly you're,
Outwardly I'm this.
Yes, but inwardly you're that guy.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to do a monologue?
I don't have one.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to do one anyway. That's fine. Okay. We're good. Just
some days it just ain't
no
happening.
monologue today. Yeah, I'm really tired today. So I got a question for you. Because although we are both parents, you are like a mega parent. You got like the mega pack. You've got all the experience.
I've got 4, 2 boys, 2 girls.
And with those 4, you will have all of the parent experiences that one can have. Good and not all. God forbid, not all. Let's hope 16 and pregnant camera crew doesn't show up at your house, right? Not all. But you've got a mix. You've got kids. You've got different ages. That kind of thing. So
okay.
I just have the one, and I'm just, a custodial parent, not custodial, but just a part-time parent. So we have shared custody, and he comes here on weekends. But one of the things that I don't get is I don't get the day in and day out of sort of intermingling with him and his friends, and maybe sometimes bumping into his friends' parents and having to get to know the kid's parent. I don't know any of my kids' parents, my kids' friends' parents. You know what I mean? So
how do you not know that you don't?
When would I see them? When would I don't have any interaction. That's his school life. And
dude,
then
partial custody is much different than.
Okay, look, let's not chase a rabbit. I'm getting to a question for you. Okay. Let's not get in, because I can talk for a full hour on the custody laws in the United States.
Hang on, dude. You drive me nuts, because I don't mind this new overlay graphic, but it clashes with the colors you've chosen for the caption. And look, one of them's like
orange and like an off orange.
One's like ketchup color and one's orange red.
All right. So my question is, are any of your kids' friends' parents assholes? Like, are there ones that you avoid, or are there ones that you like, that you go out of your way to try? Like, is Bobby's dad gonna be there? It's like that kind of thing. Like, is there somebody you got maybe kind of a budding man crush on? And then are there other ones that are just like, oh my God, they're dicks, and you know what? Their kids are kind of dicks too. Because you talked about the influence that having a dick dad creates next generation dicks.
All right, so I know like 1,000 of my kids' friends' parents, or I don't know them, like I've met them. I'm acquainted, so I've been through this process a whole lot. And absolutely, some of them are absolute jerks, and it's funny because you do see it's not a 100. You'll see someone with an absolute jerk of a kid, but the parents are nice, and then sometimes you'll have a nice kid and you meet the parents, and the parents are jerks, and then sometimes it's that weird thing where you look like your dad and you act like your dad, and I hate both of you.
Yeah, you're a little snot, and your dad's just a 45-year-old snot. Your dad is also a snot. I see where the snottiness comes from. What about the other one? Is there like one particular kid that one of your children are friends with who you wish they'd become better friends with because the parents are cool, or they got a cool vacation home or something? You know what I mean?
Oh man, well you do try and nudge that, but it never
Yeah.
works. When we were in New Orleans, he had a friend that lived in our neighborhood. Like they were in bicycle distance from each other, and so he sometimes the kid would come over, Graham would come over. Sometimes my kid Rex and a few of my kids would go over to Graham's house and play. And so I was always trying to hang out with Graham's mom because Graham's mom's smoking hot. She's a little pale redhead.
God,
Oh
you're
my
so
God.
weird.
But
So
I
you're
told my
lusting
wife,
after one. You're lusting after one of your friend's moms.
no, my kids' friends' moms.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, one of your children's friends' moms.
Yeah,
I guess that's kind of normal. I mean, you can't help that.
It's funny though because
But see, I was talking more about a guy you want to watch football with, and you're talking about cheating on your wife with. So you see, we're kind of going in different directions. I'm talking about a guy you want to be buddies with.
Here's the sign of a healthy marriage, because after I met Graham's mom, I came home and she's like, "Hey, so what's Graham's mom like?" I'm like, "Well, she's a pale redhead, kind of big boobs, big butt, dresses nice, good makeup." She's like, so she looks like me, and I'm like, "She looks like you." She goes, "So Graham's mom's hot?" "Yeah, Graham's mom's hot." "Can we hang out with her sometimes?" "You just want to hang out with her because she's hot, don't you?" I said, "Well, I mean."
That's just
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So you don't even think do you have a friend like the way I got E?
Do I have a friend?
You have like a friend, like you and I are friends. We talk. I would probably be your best friend. I imagine you do not have another friend that you spend 1 hour just chatting with.
Not every day. No, hell no.
So I'm your best friend. You're not my best friend. Don't take that personally, but I live on the property of my best friend. So
right. Then, if I put a roof over your head, maybe I can apply for best friend status.
Look, you are.
I can't compete with that.
You are up there. You can't compete with. You cannot. Yeah. You got a long way to compete with Emil, Aaron, and Ed.
It's funny how guys work, because
Trinity.
the guy that was the best man at my wedding is a guy that I consider probably still pretty close to my best friend. I hadn't talked to him in 3 months.
That's fine.
Right? It's my
That's
best
what
friend.
Best friends are.
Yeah.
You cannot have talked to your best friend in 10 years. You're best friends.
Yep.
You don't care. If he needs something, he'll call. Something really kick-ass happens, you guys will hook up. There ain't nothing going on.
I mean, he'll let me know if someone, gets pregnant or gets arrested or something. He'll tell me. We'll find out.
But that's it. So but there's not like a dude that you hang out with. Like tonight, if I wanted to, we weren't doing a show, I could pick up the phone and I could say, "Hey, let's go to the Ivy and have a couple beers and watch a game." Like, is there like anybody like because I know you just moved to a new town, so I'm wondering if you're just like lonely guy, even though it is.
See, I'm in a weird spot because I know 200 people in this town that I could call and hang out. I just hadn't called them in 20 years, and they would all be happy to hear from me. And I've started to go through the list a little bit here and there, but I don't want to keep having the same conversations over and over, and I don't know. I almost feel like having like one big party where I invite all these people back and I update everyone, and then we can go back to just being regular friends, not the guy you haven't seen in a long time.
What a great idea. What a great idea, and what a great tool Facebook is for that. Just have hey, I moved back. I'd love to see you all. And then it turns into like a little bit of a reunion, because people aren't showing up just to see you. They're showing up to see who else shows up.
Well, let's flesh this idea out, because I like where you're going with this, because I could make a little YouTube video. First off, since I've been gone, I went to East Texas Baptist University. And then I worked in Dallas for like 7 years. And then I lived in Oklahoma for 1 year. And then I moved to New Orleans. I was on radio, and then Sirius Satellite, and then New Orleans, and then I was on TV for 4 years.
They're not going to care about that stuff.
But I could sum it all up in like
what a douchebag. You know what I'd be like? I'd be like, oh, look at this douchebag thinking he's better than us. Who the hell does he think he is? That's a little bit. Just say, hey, I moved to New Orleans. I work in media. I got a beautiful wife, and I'm back. Let's party. That's all you need to do. Nobody cares about your resume.
Okay.
Certainly
I'll take that under advisement.
Nobody
Probably
working
be
in
a
a
little
meth
more
lab in Tyler cares about your because you've
yeah.
told us about the kids you went to high school with, so I know what to expect.
Oh yeah, sketchy as hell. But
Sketchy
no,
stuff.
that's good advice. I think that's good advice. Be a little more vague about the career because no
Yeah,
one cares. I do mention the 4 kids though because people seem to hinge on
wonderful.
that.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Well,
gold for you, man,
here,
for kids.
if you don't have kids at this point, and you know the people I grew up with, we're in our 40s now.
Mhm.
What happened to you? What happened? What happened?
Didn't want kids. Well, see, this is funny
You didn't even
because
accidentally have kids?
see,
Like
this is
what
where
you do?
no, this is where
Something medically wrong with
dude,
you?
what are you trying like some eugenics freak? You're like, what are you trying to repopulate the earth with for? No, a lot of people don't want kids. A lot of people don't want kids. I mean, this idea that if
Sure,
you're
sure.
40 and you don't have kids, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
No, what's
right.
wrong
Well,
with you for thinking that? You're the
oh,
one that's
I know.
broken.
It's just the prime, modus operandi of every living thing that has ever existed on Earth.
Oh
Yeah,
my
why would I
god, like,
think
I
that?
want an anthropology
Propagating the
lecture from you
species.
right now. Oh, sure. Okay, so
How
let's micro
logical is it to propagate
right.
your own species? What
No,
sense
no,
does
James,
that make?
trust
Who would even
hey,
think that in the
James, that challenge has been met and surpassed by the human race. We have too many people. Yes,
disagree?
it was. We needed to populate the earth,
Disagree?
and we did a great job of that billions of years ago. Or actually not, because we're talking about human existence, but you know what I'm saying.
No, no. I think the more
So
people
you
we have, the
oh
more
god.
the standard of living has increased, even for the lowest among us. I'm
Oh,
glad that we have 8 billion people. I can't wait to see what awesome stuff we're going to come up with when we have 16 billion people. I think it's interesting to see that
what
maybe
are
we can.
these 16 billion people gonna do? Because you're the guy who likes all the robot stuff. What are the 16 billion people that you want on this earth gonna do? What are they gonna do for a living?
I don't even understand why is that a question? They'll all have jobs. Look,
What
they're
kind of jobs? Tell me what jobs will they be doing? And today, you know what? Let's not even talk. Let's talk 10 years
the
from
same
now.
stuff we're doing. Same stuff we're doing now. Probably there'll be more robots involved.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's what 60% of the workforce eliminated. Now, what are those 60% of the people? Used to take 10 people to pave a road. Now it's going to take half a robot. So,
I
what are
know,
all of
but
those people?
look, I'm not very good at predicting the future, but I can tell you in the past when they came out with like the automatic combines, they're going to be like, well, if this machine can do the same plowing that 40 guys can do with their own mule, what are all these 40 guys going to do when they're not plowing cornfields anymore?
Well, you thank Henry Ford for the assembly line. We put people to work in mass amounts and we had the Industrial Revolution. But that's over, James, because now we got apps. Because now apps do everything. So
Yeah,
people don't do
yes.
nothing no
Look,
more.
look,
People
look,
don't do nothing.
the record of history is crystal clear that the more jobs that we open up for people by increasing the productivity of the individual, the more our economy grows, and those jobs not only
Oh
develop, but
my
they're
God.
better than the previous jobs.
You are arguing like old-timey economics based on the residual effect of the industrial age. It's completely different now. We're in
No,
the
no,
digital age.
no,
Yes,
no.
we don't even manufacture things anymore, James. So you're
I
using
know.
arguments that were used to prop up the old
First off,
manufacturer's argument.
First off, we do manufacture things. We've manufactured more than we ever have. We set a record every year for manufacturing. We just have fewer human beings that work in manufacturing. So the individual productivity
Yes.
of the people who work in manufacturing has gotten so exponentially huge that these other people have gone on. And instead of plowing the fields, they moved to manufacturing. And now from manufacturing, they moved to what happened in the 90s. You see, this is all like ancient history, like when we did the Industrial Revolution. No, it just happened in the 90s again with the information
Yeah.
age, and all the .coms had to be built because there wasn't an eBay or an Amazon or a Google or a Facebook. And so that's what all those people who aren't sewing blue jeans together now, that we outsourced it to some sweatshop in Indonesia for a 13-year-old kid, God bless them. They're just going up the ladder like we did 100 years ago. They're now moving on to making apps, to being some guy who's
So
drawing
everything's great in India.
Angry Birds or
Everything's
something.
great in India. That's what you're saying. They don't lead the world in mass poverty. Everything's great in India. They're
I
moving
didn't
up the
say
ladder.
everything's great in
You say,
India, and
you
both of
make it
these.
sound like they're playing the game and everything's working out great. They have mass famine, they have disease, they
They're
have
doing
abject
better than they
poverty.
were. And look, they're not doing as good as we are, but they are doing better than they
We're
were.
we're not doing good. That's
We're
pretty much
doing
my argument.
fantastic. The more human
Oh,
beings on this planet, the
mhm.
better the lifestyle of the human beings on this planet has gotten. Think about it like this. If it was like Blue Lagoon and it was like you and a chick that were on a deserted island, you wouldn't be able to have much of a high standard of living. But if there was like 1,000 of you on, or say, let's go to 10, y'all could divvy up the work and y'all could probably have a better standard of living. If you had 100, it'd be even better. If you had 1,000, it could be even better. And that's the same thing as the world as a whole. When you have 8 billion people all working and producing and doing what they can to make their own lives better, the record of history is clear. Life's better that now that there's 8 billion than there was when there's 6 billion, than there was when there was 3 billion.
Anything that isn't delved from modern history is irrelevant because the world has shifted and changed. You can't say, well, we went from 1300 to 1400 and lifestyle shifted and it went up this much and it was better in 1600 than it was in. Everything changed. There was what's that statistic that we invented like, I don't know, I hate this because now I got to make up a statistic. But, like between the Industrial Revolution, basically nothing was invented for 700 years. And then as soon as the Industrial Revolution hit, like everything that we use was invented, like within the last 100 years, just within the last 100 years. So 2,000 years that predated that, and you can go even further back into BC, what were those people? I mean, those people were living in a completely different world where it took 10 people to dig a well, right? Where it took, you had to grow your own crop. It was a different world. We live in a world that is completely automated. And my question is simply this: 20 years from now, what is an unskilled worker going to do who lives in Iowa? What is an unskilled worker? What's he going to do? Tell me what's his job?
Like driving an Uber? And there's probably some other gigs
20 years
that he
from
could pick
now.
up.
20 years from now. So we're not going to move to self-driving cars because it seems like there's a whole lot of big tech money going in that direction now. So you're saying 20 years from now, you can still bank on driving for a living. That's what you're going with.
There's always going to be something for these people to do, and the more we grow and the more technology advances, the more these people can do.
Unskilled people without college educations, people who don't know the first thing about code, the people who don't know.
I don't want to look. It's going to take minimal skills to do just about anything because
we're talking a couple 100 million people in this country alone.
Right, but the record of history is we have always found jobs for these people that were displaced by previous.
That sounds like socialism.
Technological advancements.
We're going to find them jobs. Who's this we? The government?
Dude, no, the free market. The free market will find them jobs.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, capitalism fails every time it's tried.
If we could just bring the coal mines back and the factories and all that kind of stuff, that's what we need. No, because I just don't see where mass employment for unskilled labor is going to come from.
Right, but if you had that concern when the plow was invented or the cotton gin was invented or when the internet was invented or when, the smartphone had another transformation. But I wouldn't
have had that perspective because there was nothing to compare it to because things 500 years before my time on the plow was pretty much the fucking same. That's what I know. Everything has changed.
But you can see the same microcosm happen over the last 20 years where before the smartphone, no one was an Uber driver because Uber not only did it not exist, it could not exist. Right. And so now that you had the smartphone that was just introduced to the world in 2007, once that technology and ease of use built onto itself and Uber came about, a whole new set of opportunities opened up, even for the least and less skilled among us that did not previously exist. And so when you were saying like, well, what are all these people going to do when they're not sewing together blue jeans anymore? Well, probably Uber drivers, one of the options. And that did not exist 20 years ago. That didn't exist 15 years ago.
All right. Look, I'm glad you're so optimistic.
Of course not. I think you're crazy to not be optimistic because capitalism has never let us down. Capitalism has always found jobs for these people. There are people that go out.
Really, you don't have any, but you don't know the. Never mind. Jobs for these people. Do you know how many people are just super poor in this country that have no jobs?
About 16%.
Come on. Have you ever been to a ghetto? Have you ever driven through Harlem? Have you ever seen Compton? I haven't seen Compton, but I have seen Skid Row in Los Angeles. It's unbelievable. I mean, what do you mean when you say we've always taken care of these people? No, we don't. And there's more coming. Every single year, the numbers rise. So, I mean, we don't take care. You can say it and it sounds good. We've always taken care of them. Prove it. What do you mean we've always taken care? No, we haven't. We haven't taken care.
No, we've done an absolutely fantastic job with the poorest among us. For one thing, there will always be homeless people. There will always be the bottom 3%.
You mean after 1980? Because that's when the homeless problem started. There were bums and tramps, and there were crazy people who rode the rails, and there were a couple of homeless people. But after 1980, that's when the homeless crisis started. And it started because we emptied all the mental institutions. We stopped paying for people and their mental health. And suddenly we had a bunch of comedians in New York every year doing a comedy show for homeless people. That is not an always thing. That is a recent phenomenon. The homeless phenomena in this country is recent.
Okay, so the failed human beings, the failed human beings at the bottom of society will always be with us, whether we stick them in a mental institution or they're homeless. They're always going to be with us, and we know that. Okay, so you got to aim for maybe minimizing that. And so
because of mental health, but that only explains the people who have always been homeless. So you're saying that all the people on the street now are victims of like mental health issues? Because
I'm not saying all of them are. The thing is you want to try and limit it as much as you can to crazy people. And if crazy people are already going to exist, you're concerned about the poor people who are like in the Great Depression, who were just wandering the countryside looking for work. You know, of mice and men kind of laborer dudes like that, guys that genuinely are willing to work for nothing and they still can't find jobs. Even, you know, those guys. Okay, that's the one you want to be concerned about.
What about the father of three? What about the father of three who got laid off from the auto plant 2 years ago and he hasn't worked since? And his wife has now left him, and he had a bit of a huff. I mean, come on, man.
Well,
people.
Okay, I mean, you can
blessed life. I live a blessed life, and I don't take it for granted.
We absolutely do. However, there's like 6 million job openings in the United States right now for unskilled workers that are going unfilled. And I know what the problem is, and you know what the problem is. People do not want to work those jobs because it won't support the standard of living that they think they're entitled to. And I totally understand why someone would feel that way, and it's god awful to have to take it.
You can't live below or above the poverty line with those jobs. I'll agree with you. Okay, we've got all of those jobs, and all of those people aren't doing those jobs. So what do you do then? Do you eliminate those jobs? Those jobs are going away anyway because robots.
Well, some of them will. Some of them will. We're also seeing some market adjustments right now. Number one, we're seeing the cost for these minimum skilled jobs going through the roof. Like $15 to start at a Wendy's is what a sign I saw, and that's in freaking Tyler, Texas. So that's a lot better than it was 10 years ago.
Tyler, Texas. I mean, are there other jobs that an unskilled worker can get in Tyler, Texas?
Oh man, there's a lot of great jobs for unskilled people out here. A lot of it has to do with the oil field. And especially
so the oil fields are hiring. You're right now oil field. So if I wanted to get a job in the oil field in Tyler, I could probably get a job because they're always hiring.
Yeah. Okay. So the oil fields. I don't know. The oil field's almost always hiring. It. If you're the guys that are on site, you ever see what a roustabout does? You ever see what these dudes do?
No.
Oh man, it's a fantastic YouTube video. So these jobs are something that you just can't do for a long time. So there's always guys cycling out, and there's always need for guys cycling in. And these guys make so much money that they could do it longer. They just don't want to because it's such a sucky strain on your entire life job. Because you go from like site to site, and then you work, like in the hot sun all day or overnight at night. Sometimes they don't usually keep it going in the dark, but those are great jobs, but there's all kinds of jobs that are associated with it. You could be a guy that drives parts from the drill bit part company to the sites. And so you just spend all your day in the truck, but you're getting like $28 an hour just to go. And half the time you're sitting there waiting for some dude to unload your truck. And
I mean, it sounds like everything's great. I don't know what the problem is then. You're right.
I think we're doing pretty good. It's me.
I mean, no need for a civil war then, right? Because we're doing pretty good.
No, dude, unemployment is at 3.5%. Yeah, we're in a technical recession because GDP shrunk for 2 quarters in a row, but it's 3.5% unemployment. kind of hard to gripe about that. And look, my balls are to the bandsaw right now. I am clinging to just a handful of clients that is maintaining me being in this business. And I am looking at other opportunities, because sometimes you hear dollar signs and you're like, well, maybe I'll just chase the money and get back to the dream whenever I get back to it,
Some
So
people do. Yeah, I mean that's what's that's a thing. You got look, got to be happy. That's my whole thing. Just
okay,
be
so
happy.
the standard. Look. Let me throw a couple of statistics that I'm not going to nail, but I'll ballpark them. Like when we were kids, it was something to the order of like 4 out of 5 people on planet Earth lived on less than $1 a day in grinding poverty, the extreme poverty measured by the UN. Now it's up to like $2.30 a day is the same dollar equivalent, and we're down to 1 out of 5 people. We're down to 1 out of 5 people on the planet live in grinding poverty. Now that's not poverty to what you and I are accustomed to, but these people that like poop in a hole in the ground and
Yeah.
whatnot, we're running out of
Eat
that.
rats and eat out of garbage and stuff.
They miss meals, right?
So we've done a good job with the absolute worst. We've done a good job. That's what you're saying.
And it's happened all across the board. It's happened in Southeast Asia, where there used to be a lot of grinding poverty, especially down in the islands. It's happened in sub-Saharan Africa, where hundreds of thousands of people are getting electricity for the first time every day. On if you average out the numbers, and so we're making huge strides. It's just never going to make the news. They're not going to say, "Well, infant mortality in sub-Saharan Africa continues to go down." When do you hear that report? Never, but things are fantastic.
Well, that just have to do with technology as well, medical technology and all that. I mean, infant mortality has gone down across the board the last 100 years.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what we're better at keeping babies from dying. Sure. And it's not like we figured it out in America and then we don't tell nobody,
So are we patting ourselves on the back because we shared that knowledge with the poorest people in some
No, that's the basics of human decency. We're not getting any trophies for that. No one's thanking us for it. So you don't have to worry about us getting too much credit. We're not getting a whole lot. But it's not unusual for doctors on their own dime to go to third world countries and just do some free stuff and share their little medical knowledge, because doctors are really into being doctors. I bet you Schwartzy's done some of that crap. Has he done that? Has he gone to a third world country and done some doctor stuff? Like my dad's friend from high school is a doctor, and he's like, and he goes to Costa Rica once a year and does some free clinic stuff for the kids in the villages around. It's like, shut up. Aren't you the best human ever?
I don't know that Schwartz. I know Schwartz. I don't imagine he has.
I bet he has. Dude, doctors love it because then they get to tell everyone about it.
They got a 4 Seasons there, because the Schwartz would go if there's a 4 Seasons there. Can he expense everything to the pharmaceutical companies?
Yeah, Tim. See, I think Tim's the opposite. Tim wouldn't go if there's a 4 Seasons. Tim's not going to go. Do I get to poop in a hole? Then I'll go. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. I don't know how this whole conversation started, other than I don't know.
Because overpopulation, and I have 4 kids, and I think the more humans, the better it's been.
Yeah, it's because you said anybody at 40 who doesn't have kids yet, they're broken, is basically what you said. And I wanted to defend people who don't have children at 40.
Yeah, well, look, I understand there's some people.
You're an asshole. That's an asshole thing to say.
I know. Look,
but I just needed to call you out on it. It's an asshole thing to say.
It takes all kinds, and not everyone is meant to have kids, and not everyone should have kids, and not everyone's broken if they don't have kids. There are some people who are going to be doing extraordinary things, or at least pursuing extraordinary things that they dedicate their life to instead of having kids. And some of those are noble pursuits that are worth the sacrifice. But for the most of you who ain't doing anything special with your life, and that's like 99% of us, me included, you're really missing out if you're not cranking out kids. And you should be cranking out kids. The world would be a better place if you're listening to this show. It's an easy ballpark to say that you're above average intelligence. You're not right.
Well, look, I say that in general. If you are interested in spoken word, information, talk, that kind of thing, then yeah, you probably are more than somebody who's right now watching their DVR.
Yeah, so you're not watching. You're not watching Honey Boo Boo. You're not watching reality TV. You're not listening to music. You're not watching something brain dead. You're not watching like my kids watch Preston play Minecraft on live on YouTube or whatever. You're not doing any of that. Just the fact that you're here. You are the kind of people that need to be breeding. Idiocracy doesn't necessarily have to be a documentary. It's
That's where you're going.
only a thing if you don't have kids. And if you're not having kids, have you seen the first 5 minutes of Idiocracy? That's what you're doing. That's what you're playing right into. You have to have kids. If you're smart, if you're above average, you owe it to the world. You owe it to the human race. In fact, if you don't, you are, passively have a little bit of responsibility for the decline of the human race, because the stupid people,
No.
if they outbreed us, we're done.
Now, the human race has been in solid decline for about 1,000 years. All right, let's move
stop
on.
it.
Let me just show you something. You are now watching The Sopranos. Yes, you and the wife have decided that you're finally going to start watching The Sopranos 20 years after it debuted. 24, almost 25 years. You are now getting, can you believe that? 25 years. Almost, 1998.
Oh, man, I'm just now going through it for the first time, and this is cool.
Crazy is that? Okay, so today there was a big story. Funko Pops, which are these collectibles that kids love. My kid loves these things. You get them at GameStops.
Yeah, they're at GameStop.
Yeah, so
comic conventions.
For years, they've been trying to get him to do Sopranos Funko Pops, and they finally released some. They put out some Sopranos Funko Pops, Soprano edition. Now, James, here are all of the Funko Pop Soprano characters. Can you tell me who they are? Can you tell me who they are?
Okay, we know who Paulie is because the wings.
Thank you. Easiest one, the skunk wings. Polly Walnuts. Polly Beltier.
And then Carmen, because the hair.
Carmela Soprano.
I'm sorry, yeah, Carmela.
So you think that's Carmela and not Adriana? The hair, right? The hair is telling you Carmela?
I think.
Because I'll tell you why. Do you see that weird leopard print top that she's wearing? That's the kind of garbage Adriana wears. So I'm like, yeah, but it does. You're right. The hair does kind of look like Carmela.
All right, so I'm pretty sure that's Christopher Moltisanto on the top left.
Top left, but again, no unibrow. They should have really done a little bit of a unibrow for him, because
you are so right.
I think that's his most recognizable physical trait, right? I mean, if Polly's got the skunk wings.
Yeah. It's not like an Anthony Davis unibrow. It's barely cutting across. It's almost like a shadows between them.
It's like a Gallagher brothers from Oasis unibrow. They had that level of unibrow.
Perfect.
I'd like them to fix it, but whatever. I can get past it. Okay, so top row, left to right, I believe that's Christopher, Tony, Carmela, and then who's on the far right?
Is it Salvador or?
Yep, there you go. Silvio, Salvador Dante. That's right. That's him, the consigliere. And then here, I'll bring this other one down. So, did you say who's this one? Did you here? Let me this guy right here.
Paulie,
who's this?
I don't know.
See, this has got to be Tony, right? I'm from the hairline, and this is such a Tony shirt.
It isn't okay, but how look, the face is 100% indistinguishable from the guy next to Paulie.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's the exact same face.
These are crap.
So who's that supposed to be?
Wait, which one? The guy.
If that one's not Tony, one of those is Tony.
Well, that's the thing. This is obviously Tony. This is Tony Ground.
Because he's always wearing the damn bathrobe when he picks up the paper.
Well, no, this is Tony when he had his first anxiety attack when the duck was in the swimming pool. Remember, he stepped out back to smoke a cigar, saw the duck in the swimming pool.
So there's two Tonys.
So there's two Tonys.
Okay,
I think there's two Tonys, and that would be all the major players with the exception of the kids. You got Paul. It's Tony's crew. This is the Soprano crew. Well, I guess Big Pussy's missing, right? Junior.
Well, he only made it 2 seasons, so screw him.
Like a junior, you don't know that. You don't know who's coming back. You don't know. You don't know nothing, man.
Didn't I see him throw him in the body of water?
Did you? Okay. I'm just saying, it's the Sopranos. Anything can happen.
Why are you doing this to me?
Because it's fun. Because now you're going to be wondering. Trust me, I've just made the experience better for you. All right, there you go. Those are the Funko Soprano dolls. Because hey, I think you just locked up. What just happened? Did you just lock?
No, I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you locked up. Your video stream locked up.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm running out of
juice. Just running out of magic stuff. Magic pop. Where'd he go? Now he left me. What the? All right, let's see if he comes back. I don't know if he can use the same. There was something I was looking for. How's he going to just leave like that? There he is. Okay. All right.
I think that hamster fell off the wheel or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just screaming about how he going to just run away like that, and then here you are. Okay, so it's working again. All right, very good. All right, you got anything? You got anything else? We got 15 minutes here. Can you fill time?
Well, can we talk about the news?
What news? What news do you want to talk about? I don't like to talk about the news. The news is just a landmine field of stuff. What do you got?
Why is it a landmine field of
Just
whatever?
what do you got? I'll show you why. What do you got? What do you got?
Mikhail Gorbachev dies. Your thoughts?
Oh, I thought he died 20 years ago. I saw it happen when I was on the air today. It started the trend. And Ed Silla, who's my, he's my texter of death. He's got the sickle and the hood and all that. And
he's the town crier.
Oh, whenever somebody famous dies, Ed knows first, boom, and he sends a text, so-and-so dead, right? And I'm like, oh my God, he's right. I'd say a good 8 out of 10 times that Ed's the guy that tells me. So he's telling me during the show today that Gorbachev died, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, what's he being funny? I thought he was being funny because I thought he died 20 years ago. Turns out that was Yeltsin. But, I thought it was Gorbachev. I thought he died 20 years ago. So what are my thoughts on Mick Gorbachev? He was the one we needed when the time came. And by that, what I mean is when the Cold War got to the point where somebody needed to piss or shit or get off the pot, we, the United States of America, would have liked to have had somebody like Mikhail Gorbachev making the decision on whether to shit or get off the pot. The dude, whether you're talking about glasnost, which was, the cooling of temperatures between the United States and the Soviet Union at the end of the Cold War, there was a good 4 or 5 years of that preceded. Look, the Soviet Union went under like a sad ship. You know what I mean? It went down like the Titanic.
It just went broke.
It did. It didn't get violent. And any other guy in that chair that wasn't named Mikhail Gorbachev might have gotten violent. Could have gotten really ugly. But he was a statesman, and he was there when that happened. And he stepped aside peacefully when they dissolved the Council Grand Soviet. He went peacefully. He didn't get his generals in line to go up against Yeltsin when Yeltsin was made the president of Russia after they dissolved the Soviet Union. No, so my feelings on Gorbachev are, thank God it was him and not Khrushchev, because it would have been an all-out war, because Khrushchev was kind of crazy, Brezhnev, I don't know, maybe a little bit better, but Gorbachev was the guy we needed at the time. Can you imagine if it was Putin? Imagine somebody like Putin when the whole thing is burning down around him? I mean, would you have trust Putin to act like a statesman on the global stage?
No. Well, I think the sort of nationalism that I hear from Putin, the little I know about the guy, he would have been more concerned about the SSR is not breaking away. He would have tried to keep Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, and he would have tried to keep all them in the fold and let them go to independence. I don't think he would have lashed out at the outside world. I don't think any of them would have lashed out at the outside world.
No, we're talking about massive blood in the streets civil war in the former Soviet Union, and that didn't happen. And that really should have happened. It really should have happened, but it didn't, because of the way Gorbachev spent years with Glasnost trying to prepare everyone for being friendlier with the Americans. You know what I mean? For being cooling down the temperature. He did that. That was his plan from the beginning. And he did it because he knew he couldn't win an economic or a military war against the United States. And it was time to stop playing this stupid game that was bankrupting the nation.
I've always thought it's been super important to pay attention to what's going on in Russia, because they're a country kind of like the United States, where, look, I mean, we have a little bit of history before the 20th century, but we never did crap significantly on the world stage before the 20th century. And then all of a sudden, we're the two biggest dogs. We're the only people sending folks into space. We're the only people, landing crap on the moon, and we're sharing a space station. And when we did have a co-equal superpower, they were never as strong and powerful as us, in economic, military, whatever terms. But they were the closest thing we've had. And for a country that has like 1/3 of our population,
I just, for 1 second, just clarify something?
Sure.
I can tell you, as someone who was, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, I was 20 years old when the Soviet Union finally fell. My entire first 20 years on this planet was living under the specter of the Soviet Union. And when you say they didn't have our military, I can tell you that people back then did not believe that.
Right.
People in the 70s and in the 80s, we believed that they were doing shit that we just couldn't keep up with because of, they could take everybody's money because it was communism, and it was, but really, so, I mean, you're right. We came to learn that it was all bullshit, that it was all duct tape and twine, their military. But in the moment, we did not believe that. We thought,
that's the smart way to think, because, and that's the super interesting part about Russia is for about 20 years, they were the ones that were making the most scientific and whatever advancements on the planet. They were the ones.
Surgery. They were friends with the aliens. I mean, all of these things, they were so far advanced. I'm talking about the way people talked about it in casual conversation. Okay. They were so far advanced, we couldn't even imagine competing.
Well, So like it was like America or Britain or maybe even France or Germany maybe that came up with so many of the inventions, whether it was the car or the airplane or the steam engine or the locomotive or whatever. But Russia was the one that was the first one when we were all trying to do it that beat everyone to the jet engine. They had the MiG. They had jet fighter planes that were far and above anything America was producing before we could do it. That had never happened to us.
They had the jet first. I didn't know that.
They had the jet first. They had the MiG first, and we got one in response pretty damn quick. I mean, they only beat us by a small time frame, but for a little while there, they could have ruled the skies in any military battle. That was one of the turning points of the Korean War. Is after World War II, we all thought we're on an equal footing. And then the Korean War breaks out, and all of a sudden these dudes are in jets. And we're like, we know y'all didn't come up with that. So Russia, what's going on? So there was that, and they beat us to space. They beat us to put a satellite up there. They beat us putting a human being up there. They beat us putting the first probe on the moon. They never landed a dude on the moon. But
you want to know? Okay, wait, I'll give you a little fight here. The fight was between two men. And neither of them were American.
Werner von Braun. They're both Germans.
Braun, who was a Nazi. No, they weren't. No. Sergei Korlev was the Soviet manager of their space program. It was Korlev versus von Braun. And we here in America, we don't know anything about that history because it didn't concern us. But man, that's a fascinating story. The story about Sergei Korlev and Werner von Braun and how they were both trying to build rockets first. One for America and one for the Soviet Union.
So the Soviet Union started out horribly. They started out, in the ashes of World War I. Then they, with their 5-year plans, had some great little famine fun there. And they didn't really rise to any significance until the aftermath of World War II. And then for about 10 to 20 years, they were the top dogs. They were, for just a brief second, they were the ones, they like I said, they beat us to the jet engine. They beat us into space. They beat us to the moon. And so if you were in this, if you're in the 70s,
they were able, but that's also because their system allowed them to nationalize all these projects. Whereas we nationalized insofar as we had NASA, and that was fun.
Yeah, and look,
but they learned the same kind of thing.
What every other Marxist country learned is, hey, you can go ahead and requisition everything. That'll work good for about a decade or two. But when people stop producing because they know it's just going to get stolen, it doesn't last. And so you can have a flash in the pan, and you better do something cool in that first 20 years because economically speaking, there's either some reforms or some pain in your future.
Let me address Jeff Ballard in the chat room here. Our boy Jeff, who's a regular, so I think that this question deserves a fair answer. Jeff says, why do you think people question the moon landing, Pugs? The Soviet Union were kicking our ass in the space race, but all of a sudden America supposedly landed on the moon. Yeah, Jeff, they weren't kicking our ass in the space race. The Mercury program passed up the similar program that Russia had. So the Russian early rocket stuff, the early Soviet stuff, the launching of Gagarin into space, the launching of the monkey, the launching of the dog, all of that stuff was done in the very early 60s and the late 1950s. By the time we got around to the moon landing, we were out producing them. We were ahead of them. If by any measure in the space race, it looked like we were going to beat them. So but they were kicking our ass 10 years earlier.
Are you saying, Pugs, that you believe the moon landing was real?
Yes, James, I'm going to go on a limb and say that the most monumental day, the most important day in human history, the greatest day of human achievement ever documented, yes, was real.
Yeah. It's the greatest achievement of mankind. And the reason why
Until we
people
go to
doubt it
Mars. Until
is
we put
because
somebody
it'd
on
be
Mars.
it's fun to believe that. It's fun to believe it was all fake. Wouldn't that be a crazy story? It'd be more interesting than we actually landed on the moon.
It is so. But here's the thing. Here's my problem with it because it's my birthday, so I'm a bit of a historian, right? My whole life I've been like obsessed with
Well,
the
can you
Apollo
answer
program.
Byron's point here that nothing living can live through the belt of radiation to get there?
He's talking about the Van Allen radiation belt, and that's just not true. That is something that people say all the time, and you think it's true because what stupid person would say something like that? That sounds like something a smart guy would know, and so I'm just going to go with it. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. I mean, we have sent. I don't want to talk about the moon landing, James. We've got 4 minutes left in here. I can go and I can go. I don't want to talk about the moon landing.
Well, take the comment down because it's.
Let me just say this too.
Okay.
Let me say this about the moon landing. Here's why I just kind of go, why? What's the point? There is so much truly uninspired bullshit that we put up with when we look across the grand scape of humanity. We do a lot of terrible things, whether it's, just slaughtering people and all of that. Putting a human being on the moon is an amazing achievement. We got to give ourselves credit for that. We got to give humanity a pat on the back for doing that. So this desire to sort of just dismiss it just says to me that you don't truly grasp how incredible a feat that was. And given the technology of the time, how ridiculous it is to think that they could have ever thought, let's do this. And they did it. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think
So
credit for something.
So the flat earthers think NASA is just all for show. They just shoot rockets up there and then they just go disappear off out of sight. And they go, I don't know, I guess they go land somewhere in the ocean or something. I don't know.
Is a flat earthers? Is that where this like normalization of nonsense? Is that where it began, or was it the people who denied dinosaurs? Which first, the people who denied dinosaurs lived, or the flat earthers? Because now anything. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but Tom Hanks is the world's largest producer of child pornography. He does it out of his garage. You can believe anything now. The most ridiculous things have been normalized in casual conversation. So, what came first? Was it the flat earthers or the dinosaur deniers?
Yeah, so the oldest conspiracy theory would be flat earthers because they existed before we even knew dinosaurs were a thing. Because they have the ancient Greeks, their explanation on the Earth was that it was flat, and below that was a whole row of elephants that the Earth was sitting on, and below that was a giant tortoise. And then, okay, well, what's under the tortoise? And an even bigger tortoise. Okay, well, what's under that tortoise? An even bigger tortoise. And are you saying, yeah, it's just tortoises all the way down?
Nothing but tortoises.
Nothing but tortoises. So that's like in like actual ancient Greek literature somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's the first conspiracy theory that I'm aware of. There's some older writing, like ancient Sumerian cuneiform that predates it.
I love the Sumerians. I'm a big Sumerian. Are you a fan of the Sumerians? Most people don't even know what Sumer was. I'm a big fan.
Well, I think the proper term now is Akkadian or Akkadian. I know I get, am I using the wrong pronouns? I don't think they cared. So no, I love that super duper as old as
Sumerians are recognized and believed to be the first civilization, the first organized human civilization. At least
they're the oldest one that we still have writing from.
Yeah.
We have artifacts from older civilizations.
And they're aliens. Okay, that's gonna do it. I'm just throwing it out there. They're aliens.
So the ancient Sumerians,
Ancient
Sumerians consider themselves civilized and other people around them civilized, but not every tribe around them. And they actually made rules for what was a barbarian versus civilized. And one of them, if your society plays sports, you are civilized.
Oh, well, there you go. I guess we're
been around civilization since the first one we know of.
Where'd they come down on the whole dating your children thing? That was a big thing back in those days. Was that civilized or barbaric?
Jesus Christ. Is that where you go? Is that your first?
Well, I do those ancient that is where I went. I'm not proud of it. All right, James, thank you. What? He just got the hell out? Byron, as the local Q rep. No, we don't. You're not a Q guy. You're too misanthropic to be a Q guy. I imagine. I don't imagine Byron suffering a conversation with some Q people for very long. I'd like to hear it though, because I bet it would be funny. I bet it would be. Okay, normal show tomorrow, noon. So we'll be here at noon for high noon. Topics, high noon, every Monday through Friday. And that's it. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, I know you say that every night, and I appreciate it. I like to see that. I may not ever, I may not mention it every night, but you do write that every night, and I see that, and I always go, oh, that's nice. So thank you for that. John, look at John. Very entertaining tonight. Thanks, Pugs and Parker. You are welcome, John. How's your health, John? I was thinking about you the other day. You out there driving around? Jeff, not every night, only when I truly mean it. Well, thank you, Jeff. I happen to think I do a great show every night. Nah, that's not true. I'm really kind of spinning out over this problem I'm having with sharing videos, where I can't share videos. It's really upsetting me. Oh, let me share something with you guys. That's good to hear, John. That's good to hear. So I found this new guy on YouTube that I'm like obsessed with. Wait, what is his name? Oh, you're obsessed with him, but you don't even know his name. Do you guys know who Mink Man is? Mink Man? The Mink Man? This is a dude. I don't know what the hell Parker and I got sidetracked on, but I wanted to talk about the Mink Man, and I wanted to show some of his YouTube videos. The Mink Man is a dude who trains minks. Now, minks are like unbelievably talented murder machines. They are minks. You know, minks, like what they make those coats. So he's trained these minks to root out other pests. He's like anyway, I don't know. Mink Man. Mink Man. You can check him out on YouTube. He trains rodents to do things, and they do things like okay, I'll give you an example. So this one township, they had this like fountain in this little creek area in their town square, and they were having problems with muskrats. Muskrats were digging up holes, and they were causing all kinds of problems. So they called the Mink Man, and there's a video of the Mink Man. He just takes his mink and he throws the mink in the creek, and you watch the mink swimming around, and then you see the mink go into the muskrat hole, and then you see the mink grab the muskrat, and then they fight in the water, and the mink wins, because as I've learned in the last 10 hours, minks are badasses, and the mink wins, and then the mink brings the muskrat that it just killed back to the Mink Man, and the Mink Man takes it from like a hunting dog, and the Mink Man takes the muskrat, puts it in like a bag or whatever, and then he gives the mink a big chunk of steak. And the mink just goes and eats it, and then he throws the mink back in there, and it's swimming around again. It's the craziest thing I ever saw. Mink Man on YouTube. I'll tell you the one I'm watching right now. It's the one I was just describing to you. I'm watching. You know what? Here's what you can do. You can Google Mink Man, but the video that I stopped watching so we could do this show is called Boone, Boon. Boone, the underwater muskrat champion. Boone is like his best mink. Boone is like totally. Apparently, they're really smart. Boone is a badass. Boone is a mink. So there you go. That's what I'm watching. If you get a little time, maybe you got to go to the bathroom. You bring your phone in there, looking for a way to pass the time. I'm just telling you, YouTube, search Mink Man. You'll thank me. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at noon for high noon. Bye, everybody.